Hi, welcome to English Composition. I'm Michael Chang. I'm with Cher Chen today.
各位同学，大家好，欢迎来到英文作文课程。我是 Share，在我身边的是郑老师。
Today in Unit 6, we're going to learn about what you should do when you write your concluding paragraph.
好，我们这个礼拜呢要延续我们前几个礼拜讲述的内容哦。这礼拜我们要讲述的是在短文之中要怎么样写作你的结尾论述段落。
And so you will learn about some strategies for writing your concluding paragraph, and also we'll talk about some mistakes to avoid for your concluding paragraph.
好，我们这个礼拜呢要讲的呢就是结尾段落的一些写作技巧，那还有一些各位同学应该要在写作的时候避免的一些重要的这个错误。
All right, let's start by reading our writing model. The writing model is the concluding paragraph of the My Favorite Relative essay that was first introduced to you in Unit 3.
好，我们这一课的写作范例呢，其实是我们在这个单元3的时候就已经讲过了哦。那我们现在还是一样来看我最喜欢的亲戚这一篇文章，但是我们这次专注看它的结尾段落。
All right, here's our writing model. I really miss Uncle William since he lives far away and doesn't visit frequently. I usually only get to see him about 2 or 3 times a year.
我真的很想念威廉叔叔，因为他住得很远且不常来访，通常一年只会碰到他2、3次。
I can't wait for the next holiday to come. I hope Uncle William will be there for another visit.
我真的等不及下一次的假期了。我希望威廉叔叔能够赶紧有下一次造访的机会。
Right, now back in Unit 4, we mentioned that the first and last paragraph of an essay were quite different from the body paragraphs of an essay.
好，在单元4里面呢，我们曾经跟各位同学讲到过，开头引言的段落跟这个结尾段落呢，跟整篇短文中的主体论述段落都非常的不一样。
And your concluding paragraph is different from the body paragraphs because it acts as a conclusion to your entire essay. It's your last chance to influence your readers.
结尾这个段落呢，跟其他主体论述的段落非常不一样，主要是因为它这个段落呢，要把所有的重点再做个统合，而且呢，这是你最后一次机会可以去影响你的读者了。
Therefore, in your conclusion, you want to make sure that your readers know exactly what point you're trying to make in your essay.
那也因此呢，你一定要非常非常的确认你的读者在看完这个结尾之后呢，能够非常清楚你所要表达的内容是什么。
Now let's learn some different strategies for writing a concluding paragraph.
好，那现在呢，让我们来为各位同学介绍一些写作结尾段落的方法跟策略。
And now the most basic way for concluding an essay is to use the concluding paragraph to summarize the main points of the essay and restate the thesis statement.
好，那结束文章呢，最基本的一个方式就是你去截取文章中的重点，然后重述你的主旨论述。
And you do this by restating your thesis again in different words, then you restate your main point in new words.
好，你可以呢，借由这个换一个说法来重述你文中的论点，并且透过不一样的表达方式来重述你的主旨。
And you do not need to include all the details that you had in your body paragraphs, just the basic points are enough.
好，那在这个所谓的结尾部分呢，你并不需要包含你整篇文章中所有的论点或是所有的重要的事情哦，你只要讲出最基本的就可以了。
And there are also some things that you should avoid when you're writing a concluding paragraph that summarizes the main points of the essay.
但是当你使用这一种方式来写作结论的时候呢，有一些事情是你必须要知道而且要避免的。
And first, make sure that you don't use the exact same words that you used in the introduction and body of your essay.
好，那第一点呢，你必须要注意，不要完全的去使用和开头引言论述以及在这个论述本体里面使用到过一模一样的字。
And second, don't add completely new points or completely new ideas that you could have included as a new paragraph in the body of your essay.
好，那第二点呢，要记得哦，在你的这个这结尾段落里面呢，千万不要天外飞来一笔，又另创了一个新的一个论点哦。如果有这样子的论点的话呢，请你务必在这个主体论述的部分就要去提到了。
Now we're going to take a look at a concluding paragraph that restates the thesis and summarizes the main points. But first, let's review the thesis statement and the main points of this essay.
好，那现在呢，我们来看看一个写作范例里面的结尾段落。那首先，我们先来回顾一下这篇文章的主旨陈述以及各个主体论述段落的重点。
All right, so now here, this is the original thesis statement of the My Favorite Relative essay that you can find in Unit 3.
好，我们现在在荧幕上看到的呢，是我最喜欢的亲戚这篇文章里头它的主旨陈述。
It says, I think that he is odd because of the way he looks and the way he acts, but Uncle William is still my favorite relative.
好，这边提到说，我觉得他的外形跟行为都很奇特，但威廉叔叔仍然是我最喜欢的亲戚。
And then here are the 3 topic sentences from the body of the My Favorite Relative essay.
好，接下来我们会列出来的是在这个主体论述段落里面的3个主要的这个主题句。
And the topic sentence of paragraph 1 is, just looking at Uncle William can make you laugh.
第一个主体论述段落的主题句说，光是看着威廉叔叔一眼就可以让你笑出声来。
The topic sentence for paragraph 2 is, the way Uncle William acts is even funnier than the way he looks.
第二个主体论述段落的主题句是说到，他的行为则比他的长相更有趣了。
And then the topic sentence for paragraph 3 is, even though he looks and acts funny, Uncle William is my favorite relative because he always takes the time to listen to me.
好，那第3个主体论述段落的主题句呢，则是像这样的：虽然他的行为跟长相都惹人发笑，但是威廉叔叔却是我最喜欢的亲戚，因为他总是花时间倾听我诉苦。
Now, here's an example of a concluding paragraph that's going to restate the thesis and summarize the main points.
好，接下来呢，我们要看一个这个写作范例。这个范例中呢，它不但重述了文章的主旨，同时呢，它也概括了各个段落的重点。
It says, of all the relatives I have, the one I anticipate seeing the most is my Uncle William. Uncle William does not look like a typical uncle because he has such an unusual appearance.
在我所有的亲戚当中，我最期待见到的就是威廉叔叔，因为威廉叔叔异于常人的外表，使他看起来并不像一般常见的叔叔长辈。
In addition, he has a crazy and creative personality, which means he does not act like a typical middle-aged man at all.
除此之外，他有着疯狂而且有创意的人格特质，代表着他和一般中年男子的行为模式很不一样。
These strange qualities make him special and fun to be with. However, Uncle William's most important feature is his wise and gentle heart that makes him a wonderful friend.
这些奇异的特质让他显得很特别，并且相处起来很有趣。然而，威廉叔叔最重要的一个特质，就是他那颗充满了智慧而且温柔的心，让他成为一个很棒的朋友。
Now, the first line of this paragraph is restating the main point of the essay in different words.
我们可以发现，这个范例之中呢，第一行这个句子呢，它就是重述了整篇短文的最重要的重点。
And so writing, the one that I anticipate seeing the most is my Uncle William, is another way to say that Uncle William is the writer's favorite relative.
那我们只要回想一下在这个原本的文章中呢，我们提到的是威廉叔叔是我最喜欢的亲戚。那但是到了这个结尾段落的范例之中呢，他则重述写说这个在我所有的亲戚中，我最期待见到的就是威廉叔叔。
And now the second line of the paragraph uses different words to review the idea that Uncle William has an odd appearance.
好，那在第2行的部分呢，他则用了不一样的字去重述威廉叔叔他奇特的外表。
Right, so now the concluding paragraph uses the words unusual appearance, while the body paragraph uses the word looking at Uncle William can make you laugh.
好，我们会发现呢，在结尾论述段落里面，他提到异于常人的外表，其实呢就是主体论述段落里面说，光看威廉叔叔一眼就让我们想笑出声来，是一模一样的意思。
Now let's compare the third sentence of the concluding paragraph with the second topic sentence of the second body paragraph.
好，现在呢，我们看一下第3句在这个写作范例的第3句，然后我们把它和这个主体论述段落第2段的主题句做一个比较。
And we can see that the concluding paragraph reviews the idea of Uncle William's unusual actions with the words crazy and creative personality.
好，我们可以看到呢，在这个结尾论述段落里面呢，他再一次重述了威廉叔叔他奇特的行为那这里的用字说他是个有疯狂而且有创意的人格特质。
And now here's the last sentence of the concluding paragraph and the topic sentence of the third body paragraph.
好，我们现在看到的是结尾段落的最后一句话，那我们把它和第3个主体论述段落的主题句做一个对比。
And here, the concluding paragraph reviews the idea of how wise and helpful Uncle William can be.
好，我们会发现呢，到了这个结尾段落的地方呢，他再次重述了这个威廉叔叔他是多么的聪明，而且呢是多么的乐于帮助别人。
And so, in summary, we can see that the concluding paragraph reviewed all the main ideas that were stated in the body of the essay, but did so with different words.
总而言之呢，我们会发现这个结尾段落之中呢，我们可以看到本篇整个短文，它每个段落所讲述到的重要的想法，都再一次的被重述，但是呢，都使用了换句话说的方式，使用不同的文字叙述。
All right, let's take a break now, and we will be back again in a few moments.
好，我们现在先休息一下，待会回来我们再继续为各位同学做讲解。
Now let's take a look at some other strategies you can use for your concluding paragraph.
好，欢迎回来，各位同学。我们现在要继续为各位同学讲解的是，要怎么样有一些策略可以帮助你们写作结尾段落。
And so our next strategy is to explain the effects or consequences of your main idea.
好，下一个策略呢，就是解释文中的论点会带来什么样的影响，或是什么样的效果。
And this is a good way to end an essay that explains or describes a new plan or change in procedures.
好，那这一种方法呢，很适合用在当你在陈述某一种这个新的观念，或者是逐渐成型的一个新的方案的时候。
And so, for example, if your company wants to change a manufacturing procedure, you can conclude the essay by describing the benefits to the company's productivity or profitability of making the change.
好，我们举例来讲，假设呢，你现在在为你的公司撰写一个这个产品的生产过程，那你可以在文章的部分最后总结的部分去陈述一下这个新的方案将为公司带来怎么样的生产力啊，以及最后会带来怎么样的一些这个注意。
And another strategy is to recommend some action that you want your readers to take.
好，那下一个策略呢，则是提出一些你希望读者会照着去做的建议。
And so there are times when your goal is to persuade your readers to do something.
有时候呢，其实你写作文章的目的是为了希望能够说服你的读者去照你的话去做一些事情。
And so you're not satisfied with them just knowing what the effects or consequences of a plan are. You want them to take action. And so in this case, you can write a cause and effect paper.
好，那光是了解一件事情会造成的后果，对于像这种写作的目的的文章是不够的。你希望你的读者能够在看完之后决定去采取一些行动。像这样的状况呢，你可以写一篇这个阐述因果关系的这样子的论文。
And so you can devote half of the body of your paper to describing the plan, and then the other half of the body of your essay to describing the effects of the plan, and then you can conclude by recommending some kind of action that you want your readers to take.
好，那你可以呢，先花一部分的这个篇幅呢，来叙述这个计划。那接着呢，在另外一个部分，你则叙述一下去跟从这个计划会造成什么样的一个结果。那最后在结尾的部分呢，你就可以提出一些建议建议读者要采取这个方法来做一个结论。
All right, now our next strategy for writing a concluding paragraph is to reflect on the meaning of the experience you write about in your essay.
下一个策略则提到的是，你可以在结尾的部分回想文中所提到的事情对于你而言的意义。
Right, so now one of the goals for writing an essay that we mentioned in Unit 2 was to express yourself.
好，我们在单元2中曾经提到过，有一种写作短文的目的就是去表达自己。
And this means that you want to tell about your personal experience that you had, or you want to tell about the feelings that you had about a topic.
好，那这代表的是呢，当你在写作一篇短文的时候，你写作的目的是为了要去讨论你一个曾经有过的经验，或者呢，你想要谈论你对于某一个主题的感受。
And if you write this kind of essay, you might want to end it by trying to explain what that experience means to you.
好，那如果你写的是这一种类型的文章的话呢，你可以借由解释这个经验对你有什么样的意义，来当做你的结尾。
And this is the type of conclusion that we have in our writing model.
那其实这个策略呢，也就是我们在我们写作范例里面所使用的一个方法了。
All right, so let's read the writing model one more time.
好，我们现在再看一次我们的写作范例哦。
I really miss Uncle William since he lives far away and doesn't visit frequently. I usually only get to see him about 2 or 3 times a year. I can't wait for the next holiday to come. I hope Uncle William will be there for another visit.
我真的很想念威廉叔叔，因为他住得很远，不能够常常来访，通常一年只会碰到他2-3次。我真的等不及下一次的假期了。我希望威廉叔叔能够赶紧有下一次造访的机会。
And so we can see that this concluding paragraph shows us the writer's feelings about his uncle without providing a summary of the information that was included in the body of the essay.
好，我们可以发现呢，这样的结尾段落，它并没有去重提文章论述中所说过的所有内容哦，但是呢，它却着重在作者对威廉叔叔的一个想法。
All right, let's go on to another strategy, which is based on the ideas presented in your essay, predict what will happen in the future.
下一个写作结尾段落的一个策略呢，则是根据文章中的论点，你来预测未来会发生的事情。
All right, now this strategy for ending an essay is similar to explaining the effects of an action.
好，那这个方式，各位同学可能会发现哦，它跟之前说过哦，这用来解释这个论点会带来的结果哦，这个策略其实是蛮相似的。
Now, an essay that concludes by describing an effect will usually focus on clearly predictable near-term effects, though.
哦，因为呢，以这样子的一个方式作为结尾的文章，往往呢会对这个未来可预见的未来做出一个预测。
All right, now predicting the future usually means you look far into the future to a time when you can only guess about.
好，所谓的预测未来呢，指的就是你去猜测在未来某一个时间点上面会发生的事情。
You may also use this kind of strategy when you're writing about a personal experience.
好，那这个技巧呢，其实也可以用在当你描述个人经验的时候哦。
And so, for example, you might write about an experience or activity that you participated in recently, or maybe an activity that you participated in as a child, and then try to predict what the future holds for that experience or that activity.
好，例如呢，你可能会去透过去回忆你这童年的一些经验，然后针对自己未来的一些行为做出一个预测。
And then finally, if you're trying to persuade someone to take an action, you can conclude your essay by predicting what will happen if your reader does not participate or does not take part in that action.
好，那最后呢，如果你写作的文章是为了要说服别人去采取行动的话，那你可以在结尾的部分去预测一下，如果对方不照着你的建议去做的话，会发生什么样的后果。
All right, let's take a break now, and we will be back again in just a few more moments.
好，现在我们先休息一下，待会回来我们再继续为各位同学做讲解。
Welcome back. Now let's conclude with some more strategies for concluding an essay.
好，欢迎各位同学回来。现在呢，让我们把接下来可以使用的策略先做一个讲解，那我们再继续讲做别的主题。
Now, our next strategy is to evaluate the main points of your essay and state the best choice to make.
好，我们下一个写作这个结尾段落的策略呢，则是去衡量并且去选出文章中最佳的一个论点。
All right, now sometimes you'll use your essay to describe a number of alternatives.
好，有时候呢，你会在文章之中去讲解好几个不一样的一些选择。
So, for example, a comparison contrast paper will usually describe 2 or more objects or ideas.
好，我们举例来讲呢，所谓的这种对比论说文呢，它常常就会叙述并且比较2个或以上的物品。
And you can conclude this type of paper by stating which of the objects or ideas is superior.
那像这样子的文章呢，到了做结论的时候，你通常就会想要指出来，到底选择哪一个才是最好的。
All right, so now we're going to take a look at the concluding paragraph to a comparison contrast essay that describe 2 different kinds of flashlights.
好，我们接下来呢，为各位同学介绍一个这个范例哦。那这个范例呢，就是一个对比论说文的范例，我们可以看得出来它是怎么样做一个结论的。
It is actually difficult for me to make a choice between these 2 flashlights. They offer different advantages. One flashlight is rugged and flexible, but the other flashlight is tiny and very bright.
对我而言，要从这2种手电筒里面选择一种，实在非常困难。它们各自有各自的优点。 其中一种手电筒手感比较粗糙，而且具有弹性，但另一种手电筒则是小巧且明亮。
The lantern flashlight would be great for providing a soft light for a whole room in case the power goes out. It also seems to be tough and reliable, making it a perfect emergency flashlight.
光照式的手电筒对于停电时用以提供整间房间柔和灯光的情况而言，十分的好用。它也比较耐用而且可靠，让它成为绝佳的紧急照明设备。
On the other hand, the LED flashlight is very bright, making it a better flashlight for reading a map or a circuit breaker panel.
另一方面，强光手电筒的光线则是非常的明亮，很适合用来阅读地图或是寻找配电箱里面的电路。
It's also much smaller than the lantern flashlight, so it can fit easily into a car's glove compartment.
它的体积又比光照式手电筒来得小，所以很适合摆放在汽车前座的杂物箱里。
Since neither flashlight is extremely expensive, getting both is an acceptable option. Therefore, in the end, the best choice is just to get both flashlights.
既然这两种手电筒都不是特别的昂贵，两个各买一个是一个可以接受的选项。因此，到头来最好的选择应该是两种都买。
And now this concluding paragraph combines two of the strategies for concluding an essay.
好，我们会发现呢，在这个范例之中哦，这个以结尾段落而言，它实际上却使用了两种策略。
First, this concluding paragraph summarizes the main arguments for each of the choices, and then it ends by stating what the best choice is.
好，那首先呢，在一开始的时候，这个结尾段落呢，先再一次重述我们之前提到这两种不一样的手电筒它的各自主要的优点。那接着呢，它在这个结尾的部分呢，就点出来最好的选择应该是哪一个。
And now our final strategy is to end with a question for your readers.
好，我们最后提到的这个策略呢，就是向你的读者去提出一个问题。
And sometimes you want to allow your readers to make their own choice on an issue. And so if this is the case, you might conclude your essay by asking your readers a question about the topic of the essay.
好，有时候呢，你希望你的读者能够在最后做出自己的判断，因此呢，在读者读完文章之后，你可以询问他们一个问题关于对这个短文的主题有什么样的看法。
All right, now one final concept that you should remember about your concluding paragraphs is to avoid the following defects.
好，我们现在呢已经为各位同学介绍完策略了。接下来呢，各位同学要在写作这个结尾段落要注意的部分有一些错误是各位同学一定要避免去犯的。
All right, and our first defect to avoid is do not write a very short conclusion.
好，第一个你们要避免去犯的错误呢，就是结论不宜过短。
All right, so sometimes when you're writing your essay, you feel like, oh, you're kind of tired, you're getting near the end. You might feel that the body of the essay contained all the important information and you just want to be done.
好，那有时候文章写到最后的时候，你真的觉得好累哦。那你也觉得你整篇文章呢，其实主要的段落呢，已经把所有要讲述的重点都讲完了。这时候呢，你只想赶快做个结尾就好了。
And so then the result of this may be that you just write a very short conclusion that lacks any special kind of idea or fails to make an impression on your readers.
但是你这样的想法呢，会造成一个结果，就是你的结尾不够铿锵有力哦，那你的读者呢就没有办法留下深刻的印象。
However, you shouldn't think of your conclusion like this. You should think of your conclusion as your last opportunity to influence your readers, and therefore you should try to make a significant or memorable statement in your conclusion.
但是呢，其实你应该要记住哦，这个结尾呢，其实是对每个作者而言都是最后的一次机会，可以让他们去影响到他们的读者的。因此呢，你应该要试着去写出一个让人具有这个记忆性当然印象深刻且效果强烈的结论。
Right, and the second defect to avoid, do not introduce new ideas that you did not develop in your body.
好，那第二个各位同学应该避免犯的错误呢，就是在千万不要在结论的地方提出文中从来没有提出过的论点。
And so, although you don't want to write a conclusion that's too short, you also should take care not to write a conclusion that's too long.
好，那虽然我们刚刚讲过，你在写作结论的时候呢，千万不能写出太短的结论，但是呢，你也不应该写出过度长的结论哦。
And so then, if you're writing and you find that your concluding paragraph is starting to get long, that maybe it's as long as all the paragraphs in the body of your essay combined, then you're putting too much information into this paragraph and you need to cut it down.
好，那如果你忽然发现说，哎，你的结尾段落怎么好像比其他的论述加起来还要长啊？哦，那这可能是代表你在结尾的部分呢加入太多新的资讯了。那这时候呢，你还不如在内文的部分多增加段落来陈述，不要影响到你的结尾。
Right, and so in this case, you need to make some changes to the structure of your essay. Maybe you need some more body paragraphs. So take all that new information out of your conclusion and put it into a new body paragraph.
好，那这个时候呢，你可以做的当然就像我们刚刚建议的把这个多出来的部分呢，也许你可以再多创作出其他的主体论述段落再去做一个陈述。
And so also remember, if the goal of your concluding paragraph is to summarize the main points of the body, don't start adding a bunch of new ideas into your conclusion.
好，那尤其是呢，当你是采取这个所谓截取文中重点这样的策略来写作你的结尾段落时，千万要记住你的结论之中是不能够再另创新论的。
Right, so now our third defect, do not use the same words that you used in the introduction when you summarize.
好，那第三点，各位同学应该要避免去犯的错误，就是你应该避免要去重复使用在引言段落中已经使用过一模一样的文字。
And so when you're summarizing your essay for your conclusion, come up with some new words and phrases as you restate your thesis. And by using new words, you make the ideas in your conclusion seem fresher or more original. And this will have a greater impact on your readers.
当你在结论中去回顾你的重点的时候呢，试着去使用一些新的文字去重述这些内容那这样你的文章呈现出来的概念呢，会显得比较新鲜、有趣，而且呢也比较具备原创性。那因此呢，对于这个读者造成的影响力就会比较大。
And so if you just use the same words that you used earlier, your reader might just skip over your conclusion because they believe you're not going to say anything new or different.
那如果你过度的去重复一模一样的字那你的读者可能会认为说，作者基本上只是在重述刚刚讲过的话，所以他们可能就会草草带过你的结论了。
Now let's take a look back at a part of our sample concluding paragraph that summarized the main points of the essay.
好，我们接下来呢，我们再回头来看一下我们这个结论的部分的例子那我们来看看他怎么样去写作。
And here you can see that both sentences are about Uncle William's actions, but you can see that both sentences make the point, but the wording is different.
好，你会发现呢，这两个句子虽然讲的是同一件事，但它使用的文字却非常的不一样。
And so this makes the idea a little bit fresher because we're using new words.
好，我们透过这样子改变用字的方式呢，会让我们即使实际上是重复一样的想法，文字读起来呢却比较清新，比较有趣。
All right, now let's go on to our final tip, which is do not write the end.
好，我们现在呢来看看最后一项各位同学应该不能犯的错误也就是呢，千万不要在结尾写上全文中这样的文字。
Right, so now this is a way that often you end a children's story, but it's not an appropriate way to end a formal essay.
会在文章写上全文中只有在这种儿童故事书里面才会出现，在一个正式的散文里面这样做并不适当。
Right, so make sure that you finish up your essay by writing a concluding paragraph.
好，那这个礼拜呢请你注意一下，在写作的部分呢，把你的文章加上结尾的段落。
Right, thanks for joining us this week for English composition.
好，谢谢各位同学这礼拜的参与，我们下次再见。